Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a Chicago Bulls video. With the preseason coming to an end, I want to talk about two specific players that need to get minutes on the Chicago Bulls next season based off what they've been able to do so far in the Bulls preseason games. But before we get into that, if you guys enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. I post Bulls content every single day. It's a little crappy here in Chicago. I think it's like 70 degrees, but I think it's about to rain for all of afternoon here in like a half hour, which sucks because I got to walk to class right after this video. But I wanted to talk about Javante Green, and I wanted to talk about Elijah Johnson because these are two players that, I mean, I've just been so, I don't want to use the word surprised, but it's like I've just been so excited about what they've been able to do. And I know it's only a handful of preseason games, but the effort that both Javante and Elijah have been showing, it's phenomenal. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And you'll watch these games, and Javante's been starting a lot of these games because of injuries. And then you have Johnson come off the bench, and he's absolutely hooping. So real quick, let's talk about Johnson first, because he entered the Bulls on a non-guaranteed 2-year contract, and he appears right now to just kind of be one of those assured guys for the Bulls' last two remaining roster spots. And you know, he calls himself, or he wants to be the next Dennis Rodman almost. He said how big of an influence Dennis Rodman was on practice, which a couple of days ago, that's only going to give him more credit. But you can see it, right? The energy is there. A lot of you guys comment something like Dennis Rodman is just like Johnson. In just 15.9 minutes per game, he's averaging 8.7 points, 10.3 rebounds, 3.3 of those are offensive, and 3 assists while shooting 71.4% from the field. And this is all, I honestly, like, so first off, if you were a Nets fan last season, I don't think that this is coming as much of a surprise. For whatever reason, Johnson's been in the league for years, and he's really only played in less than 50 games in his career. And for some reason, I mean, this has just always been the way for him. He came out of JUCO. He's just had to work his way onto rosters. He's been drafted and cut. He's been traded and cut. He's done the whole shebang in just a handful of seasons in the NBA. And it looks like right now, with Tony Bradley being injured, I never thought I would say thank God for Tony Bradley being injured. I thought Tony Bradley was going to be a really solid piece for us this next season. I still do. But now I'm starting to get onto the train of, oh my God, Elijah Johnson is a really talented basketball player, and he is definitely going to get some rotation minutes. There is concern about Johnson's height and size, but I think so far in the preseason he's done a very fair job. Granted, the Bulls haven't played too many teams with like that big bodies, or let's just be real here, the Bulls haven't played too many talented teams this preseason. Here's a quote from Billy Donovan. I have great respect for him because he's in there with Taco Fall battling his tail off, and he's in there against Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and how does this guy come down with rebounds? He's just got a tenacious attitude, and that's where that whole energy, that whole effort thing comes into play here, because if it wasn't for that, I mean, Johnson probably would have been on the league by now, or he definitely wouldn't be playing if he didn't have the mindset that he has, which is 100% on the way he was kind of brought into the NBA. All the stuff he had to go through, all the work he put in, is giving him this, like, never give up attitude, and you love to see it, you love to hear it, and watching it. I mean, he's playing 15 minutes a game, pulling down these rebounds. I mean, that last game again on Sunday night, he goes 14 points, pulls down 11 rebounds, and he like barely played. So you love to see it. Here's a quote from Elijah. Whenever Coach Donovan puts me on the floor, I'm just going to go out there and compete. I'm positionless, and I'll do whatever it takes to help the team win. Positionless, this is a key word here, because if he is actually positionless, that would be this might be one of the best low-key Bull signings of the offseason. Positionless basketball, it's the new wave, Any Rocket fan will tell you that. Any Rocket fan will agree with it. Getting basketball players, getting your team of defenders who can guard any position, they don't have to play a certain position. That's the future of the NBA. And so Johnson, I think he's gonna have a role on this Bulls team. If he doesn't, that would be whack. I honestly, maybe if Jim Boylan was still the coach, he wouldn't have a role. But with BD knows what's up, so he's gonna throw him in there when he's got an opportunity. And I'm excited to see what happens for this Bulls last preseason game. I'm not quite sure if they've made an announcement if Tony Bradley's playing or if Tony Bradley's out for the preseason or what's going on. All I know is we have to wait way too long for the Bulls' next preseason game. I believe it is next Friday against the Memphis Grizzlies, home against the Memphis Grizzlies. And that, I believe, closes it up. The Bulls have a very tough stretch in November. Like, just the month of November is pretty miserable. Having guys like Johnson, having guys like Javante Green in case you get injuries or whatnot, it's going to be huge. So let's talk about Javante next, because he's putting up like 9 and 7 right now in the starting lineup for the Bulls. He's had to start because you have an injury with Patrick Williams. And I would say that Javante Green has been one of the best surprises for me. This was a player going into the preseason, going into training camp, I wasn't sure. In fact, if you were to ask me, I would have told you I highly doubt he'll be on the roster. I just thought that there was going to be a lot of competition. I thought that, some of the other Bulls players were going to step up a little bit more, maybe guys like Stanley Johnson. But he's been probably the best surprise for me, Javante Green. The energy and effort, it's the same thing with Johnson. It's unmatched. I mean, you get guys like this into the basketball game, and they're making immediate impacts just energy-wise. Like, they're literally shifting the energy of the entire stadium, of the entire floor when they walk onto the court. And this is a player who, it just reassures me. Having guys like Johnson, having guys like even DeSumo, having guys like Green, if the Bulls were to suffer an injury, whether it be big and major or small and minor, I'm feeling just fine. Based off the depth that the Bulls have, I think that it's surprising a lot of teams. I don't think too many teams, Bulls fans, we knew this because we haven't had a good bench in years. Now we know we have a good bench. And we had a good bench even without Johnson and even without Green. And I think the NBA is finally starting to pick up on that now. Like, oh, wow, they're like pretty freaking deep. This is going to be a fun season. This could be a really fun season. And these two guys, hopefully they get on the roster and they get plenty of playing time next season. That's going to be it for today. Let me know your thoughts on those two guys claiming those last 2 roster spots. That's going to be it for today. Hit the like button. Hit that sub button. If we could get this video to 100 likes, that would be awesome. Thank you guys for 8.4K. Let's get to 8.5 next.